Awesome. Here we go. So we're doing a big one clap. We're going to start this episode because it's episode number 10 of the Just Ask podcast. And I'm joined by the amazing Wayne Hamilton, author of The Harsh Truths and also Your Invincible Power, as well as many other incredible books. So thank you so much for joining me, Wayne. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I was looking forward to it. It's going to be good.
Awesome. So I want to jump right in. As an author, as a public speaker who takes the stage on a fairly regular basis, can you speak to the importance of storytelling?
Yeah, so like a lot of what I do is I teach entrepreneurs how to get over the entrepreneur struggle, and I also teach about mindset breakthroughs, the different things that really I come across to help me, put together, the success that I'm building. So the importance of storytelling is if you can make it into a story, it's so much more memorable, and it's more authentic, and it really connects because people have that picture in their mind as you're explaining what you went through, and they can really relate to it a lot easier than just giving facts and figures and do this and don't do that kind of stuff.
Right. And do you remember, were you an author before you were like a public speaker, or which one came first?
So I ended up writing my first book with my mom, and I was learning about the law of attraction, and I just wasn't getting it. I wasn't feeling it. I was kind of feeling fake and trying to do the things that they were doing. So I started journaling to see what worked and what didn't work. So that's kind of how I got into writing. Then I was at some events doing some book signings and that, and people were asking if we do workshops and speak, and I never done anything like that before. So I decided, okay, I need to learn how to speak on stage. So I joined Toastmasters in London, Ontario, and started learning how to speak on stage. So basically, I was a writer first, and then transitioned that into telling the stories on stage.
Nice. Was that a natural progression?
No, not at all. No, it was like, you know what? You got to jump out of your comfort zone and get comfortable being uncomfortable, because going up on stage until you've done it a few times, it's not comfortable at all.
Definitely. And when you get up on stage now, do you still have those nerves? I mean, I keep calling them like the pre-game jitters. Like before I do something, even before like we join the room where we're chatting now, it's like, okay, here we go. We're gonna do one. This is episode number 10. I'm excited, but you kind of have that bit of like, okay, I want this to go really well. So it's the nerves kind of can be there a little bit.
Yeah. So for me, just because of the kind of stuff I do in personal development, a lot of it is visualizing how you want something to go, and then focusing on the best case scenario. So I always do that. What I do is a little tip. Anytime I'm going to speak, I try to get up on stage before the show starts and get a feel for that view of looking out in the audience, feeling if there's lights or if there's not lights, but just being in front of that room, even if there's not very many people there yet, just really kind of grounds me and gets me comfortable so that I'm not just jumping up there blind.
Right. And you kind of mentioned it a couple points before that, but I believe you were talking a little bit about like the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And feeling like maybe it's like a feeling of like not belonging up on that stage. Can you speak a little more to that?
So I found that when I was in Toastmasters, so I was learning a lot about the techniques of speaking, because there is actually some techniques that you have to learn, but they were also kind of grooming everybody to be a certain way, and it was completely opposite to how I am. So it's very polished, and I'm not polished. I like to be just relaxed and just have fun. So for a while, when I was trying to follow that whole pattern, I felt like an imposter. So when I broke out of that is when I started speaking on stage. I started just being myself, and things just rolled a lot nicer. I just felt good. But it's if you're trying to emulate somebody, sometimes you're not being yourself, because everybody has their own style. They have their own little techniques, their own thing that makes them unique. And if you try to dampen that and try to enhance something else that's not really you, it doesn't come across as well as you hope it would, or as well as you would imagine in your head.
Right. Would you say you become comfortable with the process of getting up on stage and speaking to people?
Yeah, I did, but it's another mindset thing. I had a coach one time, and he told me you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable, because everything that you want to do that's going to help you to grow, it's going to be uncomfortable because you don't have any experience in it yet. So
Right.
because I adapted that mindset, it helped me a lot in being able to jump on stage and just knowing that you're going to have that little butterflies in your gut, but I use that
Right.
as fuel to help me to perform.
Wayne runs on butterflies.
It runs on butterflies and beer.
And beer. I
Yeah,
like it. I like it. Do you enjoy getting up on the stage now?
yeah, I look forward to it.
Yeah.
For me, it's a lot of fun because I always try to give the audience something as far as a little technique that they can use to help them build their toolbox for success. And I always connect with a few people really deeply. Other people,
Yeah.
kind of like, 'cause I do a lot of humor in my stuff as well. But there's always a couple of people that really connect and want to, take it further, either DMing or doing some coaching, whatever it might be. But they really connect with what I went through and how I survived it.
Right. And what would you say your speaking style is?
So I try to be very personal, but I try to have a lot of humor. So
Right.
really, I say self-deprecating humor. So I like to make fun of different things that I did, and really just try to bring the audience to take their uh, I don't know if it's anxiety. I can take their defensive down and just let them join me in laughing at me and laughing at what I went through and how how I triumphed over it.
Right. Right. And like being on stage, you're kind of like you're balancing. There's a lot of different things going on in that point. Like you're reading the crowd. You've got what you want to say, like what you want to say next, what you're currently saying. What do you compare that balance
Um,
to?
so I back in time I was in a rap reggae band, and it was basically
Cool. That's awesome.
yeah, and so it was basically you're going up on stage and you want to perform your song, but you really have to feel the crowd. Like if you have more dudes in there in the crowd than ladies, you have to perform
Yeah.
it in a different way. Um, so it's the same thing. Like I go to some places and the crowd might be a little older, so I tone down some of the jokes. If it's younger, I amp up some of the jokes. It just depends on really the environment. Some places I speak are at bars, which is a lot of fun. Other places
Yeah.
they're at like a workshop, which is a whole different vibe.
Much more formal.
Yeah, much more formal. You want to be a little bit careful with some of the things you say because nobody's drinking, so
Yeah.
the jokes really have to land right.
How important is preparation for you? Preparation and research.
For me, I think it's very key. I know some people they like to improv. I do some improv around the structure, but I like to have a really solid structure of what I'm doing so that I really don't have to think about the things I'm saying.
Right.
That way, I can read the room better and I can interact with the crowd, with the group a lot easier. But if I'm not prepared, then you're trying to think about what you're saying and you're wondering how it's coming across. There's so many dynamics that are going on that you don't have to have if you just prepare a little more.
Right. Definitely. Uh, do you have any? You gave us one earlier on. Do you have any other tips for speakers that are maybe hesitant to kind of take the stage?
Yeah, really, I think that to build a story, like what you were saying,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what you're talking about. Make it into a story, either about yourself or somebody that and try to make it personal, because once you make it personal, it's a lot easier to engage with the audience. And then
Right.
the really very important thing to remember is when you go up on stage, nobody knows what you're going to say. So if you forget to say something, nobody knows but you, right? So
That's so
just keep
important.
rolling. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Hmm.
Awesome. Do you want to share a little bit about your latest book, The Harsh Truths?
Yeah. So the book, it's a fiction book. but it's based on real life things that I've done with clients and that. So it's basically a story about a guy named Peter who is just left the corporate world, and he's starting his own entrepreneur business, and he's really struggling. And there's like 7 or 8 harsh truths that are all around starting a business and running a business, and basically how to master those harsh truths so that you can overcome them and become a champion in your business. So it's the journey that the author takes. The other main character is named the author, so it's the author and Peter, and it's the journey of how he coaches him through all these different scenarios.
That's incredible. I will definitely make sure that we tag the book in the details below. So if anybody's watching or listening, they'll be able to get attached right to that link, as well as Your Invincible Power will be down there as well. Do you have a morning routine when you get up? Like we've been talking. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so I do. So when I get up, I usually try to take about 10 minutes for myself, where I'm not on the phone. I'm not dealing with anybody. I'm just kind of just me and my coffee and thinking and kind of seeing what I want to get done for that day. And then I usually tell myself that I'm awesome a few times. So just
I like it.
Yeah, just start to build up my confidence and cockiness, and then the day starts basically. But I think it's very important that you take a few minutes for yourself to really just kind of get some direction, shake off the night before sleep, and start to focus on what you're trying to do.
Right, and affirmation is so important too, and I think it's a beautiful way to start the day.
Yeah.
Is through that. It just sets the tone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any upcoming speaking engagements or potentially book signings?
Yeah, so I'm going to be speaking at Mo Mondays in April 15th in London.
Nice.
And then I have a workshop we're launching on Star Wars Day. It's March 4th or
Sweet.
May 4th.
Yeah.
And so we have that we're promoting. And then I got some more speaking gigs in May. It looks like I have a couple lined up for June and July.
Awesome. That's amazing. We'll be sure to tag all of your social medias in the description too, so viewers can definitely follow along and keep up to date with what you've got going on. One final question before we sign off. What is your goal? What do you hope to achieve through sharing your message?
So I really want to empower people to really take their own power, reach for their own greatness in their own authentic way. So really, that's what I teach people, is how to really build the life that you desire in the way that you want. So a lot of times I find people they're building their success, or it's happened to me where I've built success, but it was somebody else's version of success and I wasn't happy. So really I try to teach people how you can build your own version of success and be authentic in it.
Amazing. Well, this is episode number 10 of the Just Ask podcast. Very happy to be joined by Wayne. Thank you so much, Wayne, for joining. Wayne Hamilton, author of The Heart's Truth and also Your Invincible Power. Everything will be tagged below. Thank you so much for joining me, Wayne. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be on the show, and congratulations on episode 10.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right.